Gotta know when to fold them.
Know when to fold.
You're gonna do something? You're gonna sing?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt.
Kenny Rogers, fold them, guys. That's the question some Tea Partiers are asking after Sarah Palin told them that they need to choose a party. Remember, of course, that Palin was for big government back when the bailouts were happening, and her comments came as the so-called Conservative Political Action Conference kicked off today, and the big government Republicans were, as usual, everywhere you looked. So, are these Tea Partiers selling out to the mainstream parties already? Let's ask John O'Hara, author of A New American Tea Party. He joins us from D.C. at the CPAC. And there's your question. I mean, are you guys selling out to these Republicans, or are you fighting these big government Republicans and therefore the Republican Party along with me, man?
Of course. Look, the Tea Party movement is about holding Republicans and Democrats accountable. Nobody's selling out anywhere.
So, John, what about the question from Sarah Palin? Pick a party. You're going to pick a party, so this is not, the Tea Party's not going to be a third party. They're going to jump on board with the Republicans, because I know you're not going with the Democrats.
Look, each individual activist is going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to support candidates that they believe stand up for fiscal responsibility and constitutionalism as a whole. I think Sarah Palin speaks to a lot of Tea Partiers, but I have to disagree with the way that's worded. I don't think that Tea Partiers need to pick a party. I think both parties and everyone in between need to start listening to the Tea Partiers and what they represent and what is resonating with a lot of Americans.
Good point.
So, John, that leads me to my question. Because Sarah Palin was quoted as saying that the Tea Party isn't a party. I'm confused. What is Tea Party? What does that mean? And when you say Tea Partiers, what are they? What's the definition?
It's a grassroots movement of concerned Americans, of Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, everyone in between, that are concerned with the big spending and the radical expansion of the size and scope of government. Now, where I will agree with Sarah Palin is that when it comes to an actual election, you've got to pick a candidate and you have to pick a party, and it might be the Republican Party more often than not. But it's not about labels. The big thing this movement is about moving beyond labels, moving beyond empty personalities and labels, and getting back to basics, getting to principles, and getting candidates into office that stand for principles you believe in.
You know, John, it's one of the things that I like about the Tea Party movement in general, whether you guys end up voting Republican or Democrat and voting for the regime or not, is the fact that you're helping shape the debate. We're moving on from some social issues, perhaps, like abortion and gay marriage, and actually talking about the trillions of dollars that the Republicans and Democrats are taking out of your pockets and your children's pockets, and actually trying to frame and fight for some justice. How about that?
It's amazing. People are saying, look, the stimulus didn't work. I think they gave politicians a good deal of leeway and said, okay, you're saying that the stimulus is absolutely necessary to keep unemployment down and to help Main Street. It didn't work. It's not working. And people are realizing that more freedom, not more government, is both the practical and principal ingredient for more prosperity.
Of course, Sarah Palin was for the bailouts.
But, John, if you're saying that every Tea Party activist is going to do whatever he or she wants to do, then it's there's no organized movement. There's no behind one candidate or the other candidate. I mean, if this little group endorses this candidate, it's a little confusing instead of having the power in numbers there.
I think the movement has struck a good balance between being completely unorganized and having some sort of top-down party structure. Look at Massachusetts, I'll point to as a great example. Scott Brown was a perfect candidate across the board, but the movement got behind him as a practical political matter because on the main issue of the day, he said, I'm going to stop Obamacare. And they sent him to Washington and said, go out there and do that, and we'll be watching you on other issues.
Well, and then that leads me to what you said, Rebecca. What is the impact then when you have Sarah Palin campaigning for John McCain right now? What do you think of that? What's the impact of that?
No, the nice thing about this movement, again, is that it's about principles. No one person, Sarah Palin, whoever, speaks for the entire movement. If she wants to go out there and do that, that's fine. But she's not the Tea Party spokesperson. There is no Tea Party spokesperson. It's about principles. It's about groups organizing on the local level. I don't think there needs to be. I think that you've got local and state and regional coalitions of people working together, getting involved in the political process. No one's taking marching orders in a top-down way.
John, final question then. Do you think, as I do, that over the next 8 to 12 years we end up with 30%, hopefully, of Senates that are actually independent, or do you think the Republican Democrats continue their rule?
I don't know. I think no matter how you cut it, whether it's an expansion of independence, not necessarily a third party, I think you're going to see Republicans and Democrats getting back to basics and starting to listen to the Tea Party and starting to listen to people that are, what they're saying is stop the spending, rein in big government, and get out of the way so people can prosper.
John, thank you for doing all you're doing out there. Fight that fight.
Although, you know, the
Thanks for
problem with
having me.
that sometimes you go like MoveOn.org became very powerful as a grassroots organization, then took it from one extreme. So that's the problem with that is that you go to one extreme or the
Well,
other.
and I would argue that they ended up, quote unquote, owned by the Democrat Party. So,
Yeah.
you know, don't become partisan. That's the key. The Tea Party has got to stay independent. All right, John, thank you. On tap, guys, is your